Hi everyone. Today I've got here a mini vertical tasting of our estate Pinot. So we have four different vintages, the 2015, 16, 17 and 18 Pinots. So we're going to be selling these as a pack for International Pinot Day. And we only have very limited quantities of these available, but I thought it might be fun to actually taste through the wines with you today. And if you purchase a pack, you can come back here and have a look for yourself. So we are going to start with the 2015. I've just poured these for myself, but I haven't tried them yet, and it's been a little while since I've tried them as a flight like this. So this will be lots of fun. Start with the 2015, which is one of the best vintages probably since I've been here. 17 was pretty good and 19 was pretty good, so odd years have been really fantastic down here in Tasmania. So the thing about good vintages in Tasmania and what makes them so special is that it's when you don't really have to work very hard as a winemaker to make great wine. So really perfect weather conditions, quite dry, quite mild, makes a great vintage. Obviously in other years where it's a little bit wetter, we just have to work a little bit harder to make great wine. So 2015, so 5 years old now. So we generally say for our estate level Pinot that they'll age for around that sort of 5 to 8 year period, maybe up to 10 depending on the year. So this should be really hitting its straps now. The wines are all made in the same way. They're all wild fermented in sort of big plastic fermenters, all hand plunged, about 20% new oak. So our winemaking style hasn't really changed over time, although the composition of the blend has changed as we have new plantings come on from our vineyard. So this is all estate grown fruit, but generally from different blocks. So this would have more what we call D5V12, which is our older clone of Pinot, and as they get younger, we'll be introducing newer clones into these wines. So on the nose, we get really lovely spicy, mushroomy, those more complex earthy characters, but also a really nice mix of strawberry and cherry fruit. So really bright fruit in this one. With my spoon. And really beautiful fine tannins and juicy acidity. So this is drinking really well at the moment actually, and I probably, for me, wouldn't want to keep it too much longer, maybe another year or two, but I think that I like those, still those nice sort of vibrant primary fruit characters in my wine, and this one has also got a little bit of that earthy complexity as well. So if you do have some of that in the cellar or you purchase some, you could drink it now or keep it for another year or two, and if you really like those quite earthy sort of savoury characters, maybe keep it a little bit longer than that. But really, yeah, really nice. So next we're going to move on to the 2016, a little bit more of a challenging year. As I said, doesn't mean the wine will be any worse or any better, it just means that we had to work a lot harder, it's a bit more stressful. You'll see the colour in this one, it's a little bit hard to see, but if you do buy these as a flight, you'll see that the colour in this one is a little bit lighter. It was really dry up until the end of January in 2016, and then we had a lot of rain, over 100 mils, which actually increased the size of the berries. And if you get bigger berries, you obviously have more juice to skin, which results in lighter colour. So on the nose, a little bit more, probably not quite as intense as the 2015, it's a little bit more subtle, a little bit more, slightly more floral, and more of the strawberry character as opposed to the cherry in this wine. And then again, sort of quite fine, elegant palate. It's got some nice sort of juicy strawberry fruit there as well, but I think that this is probably a wine that you would want to drink in now or in the next year or two. I wouldn't probably be keeping it any longer because it is that lighter style. It's not going to age quite as well as what this 2015 is. A little bit more savoury and a little less fruit driven, even though it's a year younger than the 2015. And moving on to the 2017. Super small vintage 2017, and pretty much the opposite of 2016. So what happened in 2017 was back in the spring of 16, it was really windy when our grapevines were flowering, and because grape flowers don't have any petals, they're really susceptible to getting blown off when it's windy, and you get what's called poor fruit set. So you don't get very many berries on a bunch, or you don't get properly set berries, which are really tiny berries called chickens that don't have any seeds. So you get a lot of what's called hen and chicken, big berries and little berries. So there's a little bit of a technical word for the day. Which resulted in really concentrated wines, and you can maybe see that this is much darker than the previous two because you've got all those little chicken berries, a lot of skin, not a lot of juice, results in darker wines because all the colour is in the skins. So quite ripe style 2017. I'm expecting this to be a little bit more in that sort of dark cherry and plum kind of spectrum, but really beautiful fruit concentration. So yeah, definitely a lot of that riper fruit characters. Still quite primary fruit as well. They're starting to get a little bit of that complexity that you see in the 2015, but still quite fruit driven in style. And then a bigger, slightly more chewy sort of palate structure because again, you've got a lot more skin than juice. You get firmer tannin structure in this. So it is a bigger, riper, more chewy style of Pinot. So this one should age quite well as well, maybe for another sort of 3 to 5 years, but also something that would probably handle more sort of robust food as well. So you could have it with more sort of beef or lamb or something like that because it has got that tannin structure, whereas something like the 16, which is lighter and more elegant, you might want to have that with, say, some Tasmanian salmon or something along those lines. And then we get to our current release Pinot, the 2018. Kind of gone low yielding years and then higher yielding years. So certainly 2018 was a bigger vintage, but for a different reason than 2016. So 2016, I spoke about the bigger berries. We actually just had a lot more bunches, and the berries were smaller, which is great. So you got a good sort of balance of sort of that tannin structure and the fruit intensity in the 2018s. They are still relatively sort of elegant in style, not as dense as what the 2017 is, but really lovely, elegant, vibrant wines from 2018. So this, yeah, really beautiful lifted, still very primary fruit characters in this one. Not a lot of that earthy complexity that you see in the 2015 in particular. Really beautiful lifted floral, strawberry characters in this one. Smells really good actually. And again, really vibrant palate, really bright fruit characters, some lovely fine tannins, but not as big and chewy as the 2017. So just a really nice all-round Pinot, the 2018. For this, have it with some duck or something like that, because it will stand up to those slightly gamey kind of meats, but it's also got the acidity to cut through like that duck fat as well. So really lovely, elegant style of Pinot that's really nice to have a glass by itself, but it will match really well with food as well. So there's a little bit of a cross-section of our estate Pinot, 2015 to 2018. Hope you enjoyed it. Cheers.